Hi guys, just another little podcast from me. We've done a few recently, the last one on the Justice Group, and today we're going to have a little chat with Obi, Steve O'Brien, who is a season ticket holder at the Blues, I believe, and we're going to be talking about facilities for people that are disabled. So we just have a little chat about it, see where it goes, and see what you think of it. I'm just going to say hello to Steve. Good morning, Steve. How you doing, mate?
Hello, Steve. Okay, mate, you all right?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, all good. It's gone cold. It's gone a little bit cold in Spain.
Really?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. People say that. It's sunny, but it's cold. But,
Yeah.
it happens. You get used to it.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a little chat today about facilities for people that are disabled at the Blues. I mean, I'm not really clued up on it, so I'm going to be asking you some questions about it. I think most people that are able-bodied, and not necessarily always able-bodied, but most people that haven't suffered with no disability don't really look at the facilities. Obviously, we don't. And there's also a legal requirement for facilities as well, isn't there? So I just wanted to get the view of someone that uses disabled facilities at St Andrews and see just generally what you think of it. I don't even know how much you know about it. I mean, do you know about it? I know like your disability isn't, for instance, a wheelchair disability. I mean, are you aware generally of the whole thing there?
Yeah, I am aware of the Disability Act and everything to do with that, and I do compare, rightly or wrongly, Birmingham City's disabled facilities with other local clubs like Aston Villa, West Bromwich Albion, Wolverhampton, and I've done some comparisons. And to be fair, and I know the Blues are trying their best, and we're all going through a new takeover, and there's a lot of new stuff coming. We're absolutely nowhere near how good they are. The other clubs, I mean, that they offer sensory rooms, and I know I've heard there's a plan for one of them to come down the Blues.
So if we just said, for instance, then right, where do you sit in the ground?
I sit in Tilton, in the corner, six.
So, sorry, sorry to interrupt you, mate. So, let's just say, for instance, then the facilities in the Chiltern, are they replicated in the other three stands?
They are to a point. Apart from, I would say, the toilet facilities, which is important for me. I mean, I think just to get it clear, I don't use a wheelchair. I don't need a wheelchair, but I've got issues with joints and my autoimmune disorder with Crohn's and many other stuff going on. So I'm able, with help from friends and family who sit with me, to get to my seat and to return to it. There are disappointing things, in particular the toilet facilities. Again, that's really sort of significant to my disability. And I've harped onto this. I've taken photos. I've sent them to the club. I must admit, this was pre the takeover days.
So,
I
who did you send them to, Stu? I'm sorry for butting sometimes, but I just want to try and nail some stuff before I forget it. Who did you
got
send them to?
So I sent it to the generic one, the generic ticket. Sorry, the
Reception.
reception, yeah. And I also CC'd in Ian Dutton as well. I got to find out there was another guy. I think he's called. I'll just look at Simon May, who's the match day liaison officer.
Okay.
I'm going to make a note of him. Now he only works obviously match day, so he has got no email address, and we don't have as a club have a specific email address for the disabled. Now I know we've got Assessi Blues, which is supporter run really, and they have a bit of a link in with the club, but I think the club needs to have a link in a disability line or email address again, just like Villa, just like Albion, just like the Wars. They've got them.
Is
So
that what Villa and Albion got those
they've got them.
specific links?
They've
So
got them.
there must be a health and safety officer, mustn't there? Or I would think that would cover that, wouldn't it?
Maybe so, yeah. But
Yeah,
then that's quite a
probably
general
not.
thing, yeah,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So generically, yeah, he probably would be able to be involved, but as specifics, probably not. If you look at West Bromwich Albion, for instance, all of their stewards for their MVQs that they produce have to have training for hidden disabilities. Now, I've got a hidden disabilities, and to look at me, a lot of people go, "There's nothing wrong with him." You
Mm.
know, I present myself quite well. I think I do anyway, and it just looks okay. If you knew my day to day tasks just from the first time in the morning to when I go to bed, you'd be shocked what I have to deal with.
Mm.
But I keep that to myself as much as I possibly can. Friends and families are aware of it, which is okay, and I need that. I need that because it's the help that I need from them. Um, but going back just to those toilet facilities, I asked one of the stewards, a recent steward, if they could get hold of this Simon May for me, and they said they hadn't even heard of him. So then I asked another person. I said, "Well, we can try and get hold of him." I said, "You've got radios, you can get contact." He's very busy. He's probably the other end of the ground. I give up. I thought, all right, okay. And all I wanted to do was to show him the disabled toilet facilities in that area for the Tilton Upper 15 and 16, right next to the main gents toilets, which is near to the exit and entrance. And they're constantly just left open. They are non-radar, so they're just like they're open.
So anyone can go in.
Anyone can go in. I witnessed on Saturday. I stood there and I was taking some photos, which I've sent to you. And some of the photos I've actually kept back because some of them are that gruesome. And I'll send them to you if you want me to. They're that gruesome. I thought, my God, I thought the people the way they're leaving these
I
facilities.
think send them to me, because
I mean,
I think everything. It's like anything else, mate. It's like if you don't actually see it, you don't actually realise. So I
yeah.
don't think Gary Cook is going to be walking around going into the disabled toilets a lot. But the Blue Stewards, do you think they have any special training for that sort of thing?
No, just recently there used to be a dedicated steward around that area, and he'd be sort of in the ambulance, sorry, the wheelchair access area, and he'd always be looking at the disabled toilets, which was just behind him. So if somebody didn't have a key, which because there was a normal sort of Yale key, and there still are, if they didn't have a key, he would. I would, in particular, and so would a few other with hidden disabilities, would explain to him, and most of us have got no problem explaining to somebody what the issues are. So I explained to him, and he said, "Yeah, no problem at all." And then I managed to get hold of a key through him and through the disabled supporters, a key for that area.
Through
So then,
Assessi Blues.
yeah, through SSE Blues, I went into a meeting at Birmingham City. I'm going back, blimey, about 7 years ago. And I went to a meeting, and even then, I walked in there, and there's everyone in wheelchairs. And I think they looked at me as if to say, "Well, why is he in here?" Once I told them the issues, they were fine, absolutely great. Um, so anyway, I got this key, but then last year the locks were all changed. I then requested again for a radar system key, which I've got. I've got a radar key. I need that radar key um, because I don't just need it just to go to the toilet. Sometimes I need changing facilities for my if I get
How
a.
does the radar key work, Stu? Just for people that don't know.
Okay, so a radar key is something. I mean, something you'll get from a disability association. I got it through the Crohn's and colitis side. I do believe you can just buy these on Amazon, to be fair. But I mean, it's up to the individual person, isn't it, if they really want to do that. But people will do it. And I suppose if you have got a hidden disability, who am I to go and challenge somebody, really? Because I could be, exactly the same boat. So, they give you this radar key, and the radar key works like this. So every time you got access to it, so you open the door, you go in, there's a lever, you turn the lever up and you use the facility. So on your way out, when you leave it, you shut the door. So as you shut the door, that locks itself. So only anybody else with a radar key can actually access that toilet.
So it
Now,
activates it by you
by
being
self,
close to it.
no, it's self-locking. So there
No,
is
so when you go in, how do you get in?
so you go in with the radar key. So
So what, you touch it or something?
no, it's a physical key.
Oh, okay, all right.
Just like a chub lock, really, if you like. So you
Right.
put it in, open it up, you go inside, obviously take your key out. As you go inside, there's a lever you put up which locks it from the outside.
Yeah.
You lift it with a key, you just close it and it shuts itself.
Okay, okay.
Um, so yeah, it does work. I have heard. I spoke to a couple of people the other day. The poor man was in a wheelchair and his wife was there, and they were very, very anxious and stressed. And I said to them, "I'm going to get this fixed for you." They went, really appreciate your help. I said, I am. I said, because it's been going on far too long now, and it's causing people to have, unnecessary stress. I said, it's stressful enough to do using these facilities without adding the stress of people going in there, eating their pie and chips and locking the door behind them, and doing all sorts of wrongdoings inside the toilets, which they do. And I've seen evidence of it. And I've sent you
Yeah,
photos.
well, I mean, I've seen it, and to be honest with you, it looks disgusting. I mean, it's a mess. Number one. Number
Yeah.
two, for instance, like the women's sanitary products are empty. So are they like that when you go in?
Well, do you know what I noticed them first of all last season? I think it was the beginning of the season. I thought, well, how good is that for the girls? They're free for them, and there's two different types. And I thought, how good was that? And after a few games, I noticed they were empty or on the floor, or I saw them outside the toilets, and people just treading on them. So somebody thinks it's obviously a fun thing just to keep pushing that lever down, and they all pile out. And I think it's such a good thing that the club have done as a free facility and free for the girls. And I'm just like, why do people do this? I just don't know. But I don't know. I
Well,
can't answer.
I've got a contact at the Villa who tells me that their disabled facilities are actually manned by a steward,
Yeah,
so he's there all the time.
yeah.
So, for instance, you're not going to go in unless you have a disability, or I'm not sure how, whether they have a key or
I think
something,
they
but
do.
the steward is there. If things need restocking, he sorts that out.
Yeah,
If there's a mess made in there, he makes sure it's cleaned up. Because
yeah.
the last thing you want with a disability is shit all over the floor.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
without being rude, it is. And I noticed as well in one of them that the help cord was wrapped around.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just isn't good, is it?
No, it's not.
And it's all right. The thing that strikes me with this, Steve, is I've just seen in recent weeks, and we've written a couple of times to the Blues about things like uh, people waiting in queues to get served, running out of pies, no beer, blah
Yeah,
blah blah, which is important, because it's part of the match day experience.
yeah,
Obviously, this is much more important, but suddenly, beer dispensers, self-service beer dispensers appear,
yeah,
more staff appear, this appears, that appears. But the disabled toilets, I'm guessing because it's a minority, are just forgotten. And I'm
yeah,
not saying they're forgotten because I don't know. But what I don't like is the fact that you've had emails not answered, So that thing is common at Blues. I've done it lots of times,
yeah,
and eventually you might get a response. Sometimes I've emailed Ian Dutton numerous times. Very rarely gets back.
yeah,
Sometimes after a third chase up email, yeah, I've spoken to Jake Malbasser. I don't know if you know Jake. He comes
yeah,
back, and it's all a little bit sort of can't be bothered. But for me, even if you send an email, just as now we had a thing, didn't we, where we were a few weeks ago. I sent everyone two email addresses and said, send emails, support them. Tell them what we're behind them. We're behind Rooney. Because a lot of that stuff after the whole game wasn't pretty. So they emailed. A lot of them coming back saying, "Great, we got an immediate response." And then within about 2 hours, I think Jake Malbasser, because he was one of the addresses I gave, put an automated response on, which is okay. It's all right.
yeah,
But to get nothing, absolutely nothing, it's almost like, you know what, not important enough.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
the wrong attitude. And it happens at Blues a lot. It does. I'm not
yeah,
scared to say it. And
yeah,
if Ian Dutton ever wants to speak to us about it and come on and do a podcast with me, I'll be more than happy to speak to him. But I
yeah,
doubt very much that he will, because these are the things that matter to people, individual people, which is more important than putting murals on walls, is to
yeah,
make sure the match day experience for people that attend and pay for the facilities get what they want. And I think it's really, really important. And I think it's like you're talking about hidden disabilities. Well, I know for a fact that some kids struggle,
yeah,
with the noise, and
yes,
especially now. I mean, we look at it, we think, oh, the fireworks are fantastic. The kids will love that. but actually some kids, it upsets them. You know,
Yes.
you get ADHD and stuff like this, you know. And I've spoken to quite a lot of people that have asked about a sensory room now. I did hear you say something earlier about that. What do you know?
All I know is if you go on some of the other clubs' websites, I mean, they promote these sensory rooms and they look really, really good. I know we haven't got one, and I have heard that the club are trying or looking into it. I don't know where they'd put it or what they'll do, but I think, moving forward into the modern world of sort of disabilities and that, and people with ADHD and autism and that, that they need this, and not just even with people like that. There's people with dementia who sometimes struggle with the noises and whatever, and they might need a bit of a breakout room and just to keep away from it. I think I read one of the posts that you put on yesterday. One of the replies was that this person goes in 2 hours before the kickoff.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and I thought, how fantastic! What what a great, and they stay afterwards as well for the clapping, for all the noise to calm down, so that that person or child, I think, is a child,
Yeah,
is in a calmer sort of calmer feeling going out of the ground. And I thought, wow, I mean, you just don't know, do you? You know, there's that many people with different disabilities and how they deal with things. I mean, that woman there dealt with that, and I thought, fabulous.
brilliant.
Um,
Yeah. But I think, you know, it's obviously a difficult thing to sort of quantify because how many people have that sort of issue?
yeah,
And
I know.
I don't even know what's in the sensory room. What is it? Just a quiet room?
I think it is. I think it is. I think they got. I think there's sometimes as well. I don't know of football clubs, but I think schools have got them, and they've got like sensory sort of toys, if you like,
Yeah.
and they and it sort of calms them down and like squidgy stuff and that. And I know my granddaughter's school has got one, and yeah, up in Coleshill, and I think sometimes, I think it is needed. Maybe a survey needs to be done. I don't know, to see who would use this, but then again, would everybody contribute to the survey? I don't know. I just think that we just need to move forward, really. And I think the club will, but I think we just need a bit of a shove. And this is where we're coming from. I mean, if you look at the websites of, again, I'm going back to all the other clubs, they're so much more professional in their disability part of their websites. And you go into the Blues one, and it says your point of contact is Amir Javid, the ticket office guy. And I'm thinking, why would he want to be involved in any of this? And he's the ticket guy. So I will send an email to him now, and he's not going to have any idea. I don't think. I might be talking out of turn. And then you look down the website, and then you look at something that the Birmingham City are quoting facilities from 2017 and 2018, and I'm going, well, we're into 23 now. Why have we not moved forward on the website? It doesn't give you any
To
sort of
be honest, the
confidence.
website I find is an absolute joke. It's like the
Yeah,
BCFC official page on Facebook. If you want to go and get slagged off somewhere on the,
yes,
and you know what my feelings are about that. If you want to
yeah,
get slagged off somewhere on a group and get
yeah,
away with it, go on the official one because it's not monitored. There's no
yeah.
moderators on it. Well, if they are, they need to be sacked.
They do.
There's no moderation on it at all. Some of the
Yeah,
stuff when the black kit came out, and there were political comments about Palestine and all that, and it just happened. You know what my response is on the project? BCFC the project. If
yeah,
we get any sort of abuse, I mean, even swearing, I don't like, but any sort of abusive stuff, political stuff, anything like that, they're gone.
yeah.
I don't mean, and I don't want to come across as being a bit of a dick for doing that because
No.
what I want it to be is a secure place for people to comment. Because what happens is people are scared to open their mouth because
Yeah,
some keyboard warrior is going to jump on them.
yeah,
So it's a similar sort of thing, and I think with the Blues they need to up the game.
yeah,
It was like just talking about we were talking earlier about the Justice Group. It's like that. And that isn't just Blues though. That's Villa as well. It's
yeah,
Albion.
yeah,
They're all local teams.
yeah,
But it's things like that, and it's like I've also been told that the parking facilities are really bad. Disabled parking. I mean,
hard.
I don't know how many spaces there are, but I'm not. I'm guessing there's not going to be more than about 10. I don't know. I might be miles out there, but people are complaining about the lack of parking facilities for
I saw,
disabilities.
I did see a figure somewhere, Stephen. I can't remember where I saw it. I can't remember where it was now. I'll come back to you on that one.
All right.
I've got an idea. I know that figure somewhere. I've seen it somewhere.
Do you know the cop ticket office?
Yeah,
All right. So people are complaining there now that on match days, uh, what they do is they lock the gate that gives instant access to it. So you have to walk all the way around,
yeah,
which is fine if you're an able-bodied person.
yeah,
But for people in wheelchairs, people
yeah,
with breathing disorders, it's
yeah,
a real pain. And I mean, and the thing is, they're told because the security are worried. This is the answer. This is the answer that they got when people complain about it. Security's worried because the fans might get pelted with things by away fans, which is absolute nonsense. If they can't stop, I mean, what's that
yeah,
all about? And basically, the person said here that the services provided for visually impaired fans is also rubbish, really bad.
yes,
You can book out a headset, right?
yeah, yeah,
To follow the live commentary on a game from your seat, but the tech is so outdated that it's 3 seconds behind the game.
yeah,
So basically, you're going to see a goal and you're going to hear the commentary on it, or the noise is in front of you, sort of thing. So it's all really poor, isn't it? So you need to have some kind of audio match day ticket or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the answer to that is.
I mean,
Uh,
Steve, I am prepared to give up some of my own time, to go down the blues and meet up with some other people to try and, put our sort of feelings or even ideas together, and maybe even look at some of the other clubs' benchmarks for disabled facilities. And I'm willing to do that. I don't know how I can go about that. I really don't know.
Well, we'll go. We'll do it because what we tend to do is we go to them and we just keep going to them and we keep going to them and we keep going to them because it's not going to go away. It's not going to get any better. By
No.
ignoring it, doesn't make it better. And I know for a fact that the Blues monitor our group. They do, because I probably think they see me as a bit of a trouble causer because I'm always emailing them about something.
Yeah,
It was like the email I put on the group the other day, the email that we sent to Blues about them having the first fans open night on the same day as the anniversary of the bombings, which is unforgivable. But that sort of made their ears prick up. And then
yeah,
you get a little bit of response, but we'll find out what the response to that is over the next few days.
yeah,
But with the disabled stuff, it's really important. These people are supporters.
yeah.
You
They
know,
are.
their money's as good as anyone else's. And it
Well,
would be like saying, I'm sorry, Steve, but imagine, right, saying to everyone then, right, I'll tell you what, we're not going to have any toilet facilities at the Blues anymore, all right? So you guys cope with it yourselves. Imagine what the outcry would be.
I mean, yeah, never thought of that
Because it's
actually.
denied to a minority of people, then it's all right. It's
Yeah.
it isn't, is it?
No, it's not, because there's games, and there's many games that I really struggle to get to the Blues, and I think about it, and I don't live so close no more to the Blues, and even the travelling sometimes is a burden. But I make it as soon as I can. I stay up here, and whatever. But sometimes it's so difficult to because you think to yourself, well, if I go, I could have this issue, that issue, and I've got no toilet facilities, I've got no other facilities, I've got no steward who's going to look after it. Okay, you got this Simon May, or who might be about, if you can get hold of him, and
It's got to
and
look after the whole ground. So how's it going to be in four stands?
exactly, that's exactly what I said to the
Each
steward. I said,
stand needs a steward or two dedicated stewards to do
yeah,
that job. And I know it might cost them a few bob. So what?
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And when I've spoken to other disabled people, they're mainly in wheelchairs, because you can tell them that they're obviously open, they are disabled. And I say, "What's your experience of this?" And every single one I've spoken to are disappointed or anxious, and they must feel as well that they get themselves ready to go to the game, be it a night match or a weekend game, I don't know, and it must be so stressful for them as well to even think that when they get there, they're not going to have the facilities just to have that sort of match day experience that would like or deserve.
Well, I've got a note here. So we're going to be fair about this and look at
Yeah,
it from both sides. So we got from a member of our group on the project, Chris Farr. He said there's a limited number of disabled toilets for a start off. There's only two at the far end of the Cop in the Gilmerick end. He's not aware of any others in any other parts of the ground. Obviously, there are.
Yeah.
He said he had a cause to write to the club regarding the 2 disabled toilets at the Hull game. Both toilets were flooded with about an inch of water all over the floor, and they were also dirty. The club responded and said they would get their DLO to investigate, and true to their word, the facilities were much better at the Ipswich game. It would be good if there were more disabled toilet facilities in more parts of the ground.
Yeah.
So obviously they responded to that.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, what I see is, you know, like in the environment that I work in, we have toilets and shower facilities, and what we do is every hour someone goes around and we have a little tick
Sheet.
sheet. You know, so is this in place? Is the toilet paper? Is the you know, shower gel? Is the floor cleaned? Blah blah blah. A football match is 90 minutes long. It wouldn't take much for 3 checks in that 90 minutes to happen, would it?
No.
All it needs is a little bit of organisation, a little bit of common sense, and instead of trying to look at the bigger picture all the time, look at the minutiae. Because I've been told as well that some of the parts of the ground are still absolutely filthy, you know. So it's all right to put a coat of paint on something, and I'm not trying to bite the hand that feeds me.
I know.
But when people come in and say they're going to make big changes and they're going to improve it for everyone, don't improve it for, you know, don't try and improve it to sell the club first. Improve it for the members of our supporters, or our supporters that need it most, and work upwards. Don't do the big thing first and then leave the poor people that struggle to watch the games, you know, kids that can't go in because the noise is too much, and old people that can't get around or can't go to the toilet because the floors are flooded, women who want to use sanitary products but can't get them because some idiot's throwing them around the stand. You know, all those things shouldn't be happening. And all it needs is someone to take control of it. And on match days, which, let's face it, is usually only 3 home games in a month maximum.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to cost them an arm and a leg, is it really?
I don't think so, no. No.
And I'm sure if like a Ceci Blues or something, I don't know, they may be able to get volunteers that would even do it. I don't know.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I did actually invite a Ceci Blues on, but, and this is what they said to me, it's not worth it because they give up with the Blues.
That's it. That's where I was almost at, Steve. And when you invited me on here today to talk about it, because of my personal experiences and experiences of other people I spoke to, I thought, let's give it a go. You know, if it helps, you know, it just helps other people. It's the main thing, isn't it? It's for there may be even disabled supporters who've give up and stopped going now because of this, and we don't know this, do we? We just don't know, and that's sad.
It's like there's other, you know, there's other things you can think about which really probably, I don't know, like probably isn't correct to be complaining about. But say not so much like for disabled, for disabilities always, but a lot of like older supporters and that. I don't know, like it might be good to have a car park for people like over 65 or something. I don't know, because, and I know, listen, I know what the parking's like at the Blues. I know what it's like, you know, and it's a nightmare. You know, the infrastructure around the club is absolutely terrible now. You know, and it's difficult to do anything at all. And I mean, that would be nice, you know, but then again, we can't have everything we want, and we understand that. We don't ask the club, for things that are unreasonable, I don't think. For instance, as well, you know, some disabled base closer to the ticket office, or even just have some chairs installed at the accessible ticketing window, so when people are waiting, they can sit down.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
it sounds obvious, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Eh?
You know, but unless the club look into it, they don't really know, you know.
No, they don't, do they? No, no. And I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's good to give them, they need to have this feedback, but they also need to respond as well, don't they? They need to respond, and it's very, very poor.
Well, I would like a response from them, and we very rarely get a response on a first email. Very rarely. I mean, usually Beck will send a mail, and then I'll follow it up, and eventually we get somewhere. Because the thing is, you can keep hammering on the door. I mean, the worst thing they could do is to block our email. And if they do that, then the shit will hit the fan, because you shouldn't do that. You know,
No.
we're going to them with reasonable things,
Yeah.
what we consider to be reasonable. And if they think it's not reasonable, all they have to do is come back and tell us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or invite us down to the ground, you know. I mean, Beck would go down with you, Steve, and have a chat with them and meet with them, you know. It's
Yeah.
just having someone that, or letting the club have a face,
Yes.
rather than all these faceless email addresses that you send stuff off to and just get ignored. I mean, for the managing director to ignore you completely, not even
Yeah.
hand it off to someone. And
No.
the last time I got ignored by Ian Dutton, and I chased it 3 times, Jake Malbassa came back to me and said to me, I'm sorry, because I chased it and chased it and chased it. And then the third time I chased it, I got an email back within about an hour from Jake Malbassa saying, I'm sorry, Steve, I've got this email that he sent to Ian Dutton, but Ian's been on holiday for 3 weeks. So, and I said, well, hasn't he got like an away email, you know? So when you send an email, and oddly enough, when I sent them the email last week, I sent it about 6 o'clock Friday morning in Spain, 5 a.m. in the UK, right? And surprise, surprise, I got an out of office. I'm on leave until the 6th, which was last Friday. So it was coming in that morning. Any emails will be seen when I return. So he has got one of those. And what happened was then our email had gone in, and he'd gone in the morning he was going into work. So I knew he'd see that email. You know, and you shouldn't have to think like that.
No.
You know?
No.
I said, that's exactly what I said to the Justice Group. You know, I said, he will definitely see that email. I'm glad he had his email away, because we know that he's got the email now. So now what's he going to do? You know, what are we even thinking about?
That's right.
It's our football club. They're just the custodians of our club. It's our club.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
They're the current custodians. All we want them to do is treat us fairly, you know.
Yeah. 100%.
I
Yeah.
rant a bit, don't I, mate?
No, no, you're passionate, and that's really good. Should I have a quick look at my notes, mate?
Yeah, no problem.
We've gone through everything.
I mean, we can have a follow-up on this anyway. So, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a chat with Beck, and we're going to sort of put something together just to put to the club. Not, you know, we're not going to be shitty about it. We just want some answers from them to let us know. You know, we've got a group that's got 7,500 people in. You know, a lot of those people have some sort of disability, and we just want to know what's the situation.
Yeah.
Because when individuals go to do something, they get no response.
Yeah.
We may get no response, but we won't go away.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was interesting, mate. It's not every day I get to have a long chat about disabled toilets. But another thing we can say, Steve, in honesty, is to plead with the normal fans, and I don't, you know, people without any kind of requirement to use disability toilets, don't use them, please. Don't use them.
Yeah.
Go and stand in a queue for a few minutes, because you're lucky enough to be able to stand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
So,
I've been there, and I've had abuse for even just, you know, saying, please, you know, don't use them. You know, sometimes just at the end of the game as well, there's 3 people in wheelchairs or motorized scooters, whatever. They're all there waiting, and as the doors open, either 1, 2, or 3 doors together, there are people just walking straight out. Now they could have invisible disabilities, but you know, sometimes you just know, or
yeah,
you
of
think,
course. Yeah.
and you're going, oh God, these people are there just waiting to go in there because they want to go home. And there's one I did challenge. I said, did you really need to use that toilet? None of your fucking business. Who do you think you are? The cops. And you go, look,
that's where the club should police that.
yeah, they should. But they need a steward there. Need a steward there. Not just in that
Not a
bit.
lot to ask. I mean, if you said there were, say, 10 extra stewards on a match day for 3 days a month,
Yeah.
all right, you know, it's 30 lots of 3 hours, you know, so it's 90 hours worth of wages to make sure that our supporters that aren't as lucky as most people get help to use the facilities that by law have to be offered.
Yeah.
And just let them use it in a dignified way, rather than having to wade through a load of crap on the floor find
absolutely.
female sanitary products scattered around,
Yeah,
you know, have the door wide open and being
stuff down
pushed
the
out of
toilet.
the way by able-bodied people, you know, it's just not on, mate, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. No, no.
Oh, I feel better now. I've had a bit of a rant, mate.
Okay, you let off that steam.
I love a rant. So thanks for joining us, Steve.
Hey, mate, no worries
It's
at all.
been
Thank you
brilliant.
very much
And
for
what we
inviting.
wanted to do was get it from the horse's mouth, you know, and you're a nice horse, mate. We like you. And but it's important. And thank you for sharing your experiences with us because it can't be easy, you know. It
It
can't
is. It
be
was really
easy.
difficult to come on here today. I must admit, I had to give it a lot of thought and
I know
whether
you
I'm
did.
doing the right thing. But I'm glad I've done it now, and I hope it just helps other people. I really do.
Well, you know, we want your involvement on this, and how
Yeah.
much you want to be involved is entirely up to you. Because Beck and I are perfectly capable of going ahead and doing these things ourselves.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
good to get someone who actually experiences it because we don't.
No. No. True. Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
But
Great.
it's been absolutely brilliant, and it's been really nice of you, mate, to come on and speak to us. I've enjoyed our chat, and I know you're a moderator on our group. He's the one that throws you all off him. Actually, he's not. He's one of the. He's one of the. No, all our moderators are great. You know, they
They
are.
are. They
Yeah,
are really good.
they're
Well
not
run.
idiots. And we have our
No.
little moderators group, don't we? We have a little chat. So people probably think that we just go on, have a look at something, and bung them off. Well, we don't do that. You know, we've got our little group, and we say, "What do you think?" And then we all get our heads together, and then decide what Steve says. Because no, we don't. But Mike, thank you, and it's been lovely having a chat with you. And we'll have to have a catch up and have a drink sometime, no doubt.
Yes. Yes.
And I'll
Yes.
let you know how this goes. And for everyone else, you know, thank you for watching. If you've managed to watch to the end, I know it's not one of the most enthralling subjects, but it is important to a lot of people. So thanks for watching. And this, when the podcast is out there, let us know what you think. It'd be lovely to hear from you. And we'll give you a couple of emails that you can bombard the club with if you want, like we usually do. So thank you and speak to you soon. Cheers, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you very
Brilliant,
much.
mate.
Yeah.